It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 171.
Yeah, it's just one simple question.
Oh, wait, you get the easy part?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are, a little post-game MWFA holiday party has happened. Success, in person, good crowd. So I was just kind of reminiscing and thinking back to the last episode of Fully Threaded Radio, and I had heard, something scooters in Cleveland, Impossible Freeway back, so I just kind of wanted you guys to expand on that a little bit.
Well, it was definitely my virgin ride on a scooter.
Yeah.
It took about a minute or two to get acclimated.
Get the hang of it?
And then, of course, we were going the wrong way for 2 or 3 blocks. And then Bob took over, and he said, "Follow me."
Uh-huh.
We straightened up.
Now, hold on.
We were in the middle of traffic, almost got
Were
hit
we
by cars.
GPSing this at all, or just going off of...
No, it was kind of winging it. We knew we had to go south and east. So
We were hanging on for our life. There's no way we could have the phone in one hand with GPS and hang on to a scooter
Bob
with
said,
the other.
"Follow me," and I literally almost got on an exit or an entrance ramp to an expressway. I said, "Bob, I think we're going the wrong way."
Wound up on a big hill that went down. We picked up a lot of speed, and then at the bottom of it was the bar. Worked out really well.
I got to tell you, it was a great party, too.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import industrial fasteners, or if you're the kind of person who has an accumulation of an oddball assortment of nuts and bolts sitting on your dresser, well, this is the podcast for you. We're so glad you clicked in, everybody. Eric Dudas here, and the co-host of Fully Threaded Radio is with us as well. He's the hardest working man in the online fastener business. He's Code Slinger and lifetime honorary Texan, Brian Musker. Hey, man.
Yeah, we've got to still play this honorary Texan thing, okay? Sometimes it goes a bit flat when I actually meet a Texan.
It never gets old, Brian. It's so true. You are a Texan at heart. That's for darn sure, partner.
Yeah, when we met Christian and the Goebel people over at Cleveland, and his sales manager's a Texan. And I said, I got a Texas accent too. And he sort of didn't quite know how to take that, okay?
Right.
Said, not like mine, you haven't.
I've been there. Well, you've been on the hunt this whole last week for the Fit Bolt. We've been talking about that. It seems like it's been driving you crazy. We're going to try and get to the bottom of that during the episode a little bit. Craig Penland will be here. He's a guy you might want to hit for that.
Oh, yes, and others too. And, look, I had what I would consider to be a fairly good English education. I mean, my high school English teacher was an Oxford Don, which means that's the premium fountain of English knowledge.
Yeah, I guess that explains your kind of strange Texas accent right there.
Yeah, sort of, because I had to deal with how you actually try and speak correctly or correct words. And there's nothing, when you start searching around the web for this, you can find no reason why, what is this thing? You end up going down these bloody little rabbit holes or wormholes, I guess they are, it's a quick fitting bolt. No, it's not that, okay? It's something different.
Well, we'll dig into that a little bit on the episode today.
Good.
You're a fastener sleuth for sure. And we have a festive lineup for you today on this episode 171 of the Fully Threaded Radio podcast. We're publishing this time on December 16th, 2021. We set it all up with a visit from Desert Distribution Managing Partner Jo Morris. She's had a momentous year for herself this year. And of course, she's always got her finger on the pulse of the industry. As I mentioned, Craig Penland with Eurolink will sit in with us next to update us on inbound freight from Europe. That's something a lot of people might not have thought carefully about. Craig's all over it. And he's a guy who might have a few answers for the fit bolt mystery that Brian's working on. We'll find out. On the Fastener News Report, Mike McNulty leads with his top story from Fastenal, and he's joined this time by Baird analyst Dave Manthey to take a look at the FDI year in review. Our feature segment today is something a little bit different, as Jake Davis of BTM Manufacturing and Matt Boyd from Parker Fasteners explain their involvement with a charity organization that your company might want to know about. It's the holiday season, folks, and sadly, there's no shortage of hardship out there to address. So take a close listen to this one.
Yeah, right.
Also, Carmen Vertullo's Fastener Training Minute discusses the subject of fastener reusability. I know a lot of you distributors cringe when you hear that. It's always buy new, right? Well, Carmen's always looking at the practical side of things. Plus, it's the season to be a little bit jolly, so we've got a couple of retro goodies tucked in the mix for you today, including the return of J.R. Prahl's The Gift.
Wow, cool.
Right, which will run in its entirety for you to close it all out today. So stick around for the full performance. It's packed tighter than a keg full of Stealthfast monkeys on a holiday vacation.
I mean, a full of Stealthfast monkeys in a container somewhere.
stuck out in the harbor.
Right.
That packed. I mean, it's packed. So we've also got a packed lineup of fine sponsors for the podcast. Brian, that's your department.
Right. It is, yes. And we're very lucky to have great sponsors that have been with us for ages, and they're very good to us. So the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Gerbil Fasteners, and Star Stainless Screw Company. Brighton Best International. Tested, tried, and true. Gerbil Fasteners, quality the first time. Star Stainless, right off the shelf for over 70 years. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, 3Q Inc., Stillfast, Volt Industrial Plastics, Worth Industry North America, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So make sure you think of these people whenever you're trying to source something. Hopefully that's not on a container somewhere. It'll be in one of these warehouses. These people have supported the Fully Threaded podcast for years, and it's because of that we can keep bringing this to you, okay? So think of them first when you're looking for get some weird fasteners or even some ordinary ones.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to hearing your thoughts about the podcast. Questions, concerns, suggestions, veiled threats. Nah, keep those. But
no, we don't want the veiled threats, okay?
Everything else, ftr@fullythreaded.com. And as usual, Brian, you've got a handful over there at the FCH Data Lab. You're doing just a ton of stuff as we close out the year. And you're focused, this week on the InSequel Direct Connect system, because we've got Star Stainless coming online with their huge inventory list, and that's being plugged right into the Direct Connect system over there at InSequel. How's that all coming?
Well, it takes a while because, when we set up Stillfast Direct Connect, which I think is fairly successful, I worked with Carmen for really months to deal with all the strange conditions. All that really comes to us is the description of what you, as an InSequel user, what you're looking at. And it could be that you're looking for, say, a grade A hex cap screw. Well, here's the reality. You could have those things made, but if it's grade A, it's probably a hex machine bolt. It's probably not a cap screw. And you probably wouldn't be buying a grade 2 bolt. You'd be buying a grade 2 cap screw. So you've got to put these little changes that take place, because if you tried to search for Stillfast, just say for a grade A hex cap screw, you wouldn't find anything.
So you're doing a similar kind of a process
for
Star.
For Star,
list.
Okay. So you have to say, okay, if you're looking for something that is one of these, then this is what you really need. It's not quite so complicated with Star, and they have, they're only not only, but they mainly have stainless, and so their materials are sort of more limited. But you have to sort of, the way it works is it's as if someone walked into your shop and said, I want a half-inch hex bolt, and they haven't really said anything more than that. So you say, well, the only thing we sell is stainless, therefore you really want a stainless hex bolt.
Well, what you're describing is the intelligence in what a lot of people think of as artificial intelligence, and you guys are hammering that out line by line. There's a lot of business rules that you're supporting with this, but the upshot of it is that the in-sequel system is going to support it very nicely.
Right.
So customers will be able to go online, and this partnership is flourishing. So that's a great thing. So keep up the good work, Bri.
You're right. And I've been working with Brian Wheeler over at Star, and we're now ready with Darren over at In-Sequel, to start the actual testing. And probably we'll be looking for someone who can, where that comes from, but an In-Sequel user who needs to test this before it goes live, actually.
All right. So we're keeping our ears open for potential beta testers. Really, that's a lot of people in the fully threaded audience.
Right. Yeah, we've had people have been asking us for years about if they could ever get something that would be able to look up Star Stainless's part numbers, because, there's a lot of people buy from Star, okay?
Well, very soon, Direct Connect system users are going to be doing just that. Good work. Now, if we could just get this fit bolt mystery solved, all will be well, and we'll be able to close out the year. Who knows what the episode will bring, Bri?
Right. And everyone else is scratching their head saying, why does he care? Who cares?
Oh, yeah. You don't know Brian well if you don't understand that. But you'll get to know him better throughout the episode. Those of you who are new listeners, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
For our long-term friends, it's going to be a good one. Thanks for being here. We'll be back momentarily to put a wrench to this one. It's fully threaded
radio.
They're like more cowbell for the fastener industry. Brian and Eric. Fully threaded radio.
The U.S. Anchor brand has over 45 years of history, providing quality anchoring products sold through various distribution channels. The product range is comprehensive, including light, medium, and heavy-duty offerings, ideal for construction and industrial applications. Our flagship Ultra Wedge Plus Wedge Anchor has obtained the prestigious ICC-ES approval for cracked concrete and uncracked concrete, as well as the Miami-Dade County approval. The state of Florida, city of LA, and state of California have all approved the Ultra Wedge Plus. For more information on U.S. Anchor, visit brightonbest.com. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best.
GHIII Fasteners is excited to announce our brand new 18-volt lithium-ion cordless battery tools. They are proven, reliable tools ideal for demanding assembly, maintenance, general metalworking, and trucking industry applications. GHIII Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
Our goal at Star Stainless is to be your #1 stainless supplier. As an industry, we've been through a lot together over the years, and you've always been able to depend on us as your trusted partner. It's been that way for over 70 years. I'm Tim Roberto, the president of Star. Today, we're faced with supply chain pressures like never before, but you can continue counting on Star to have the quality stainless parts you need with the fastest possible delivery times. None of us can be sure how conditions will change or when certain items will become hard to get, but at Star Stainless, we have the resource and stocking capabilities to bring what you need when you need it. Thanks for working with us all these years. Together, we will make it through.
As the year ends with such a widespread diagnosis, some call it COVID, some say it's psychosis, but who knew it would be fall, the most healthy reindeer of all. Screwdolph the thread-nosed reindeer doesn't have a job this year. No mask will stay on his nose. Everybody runs in fear. All of the other reindeer signed up for their UBI. called him a super spreader, told him he could go and die. Then one fraudulent election eve, Bill Gates came to say, Screwdolph, take this shot today. We'll give you cash, own your RNA. Then all the reindeer loved him. Into quarantine they went. No end to all this bullshit. It's worse than hydrogen embrittlement. It's worse than hydrogen embrittlement.
Hey, this is David with ND Industries. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, kicking off this final online threaded fastening broadcast odyssey of the year.
And yeah, what a year it was.
It was a mixed bag, Bri, but I tell you who had a banner year all the way around for herself, and everybody knows her from her hard work at the Fastener Training Institute. She's all over the fastener world, actually, and she's here now. I'm speaking, of course, of the diva of desert distribution, Jo Morris.
The diva.
Hey,
Wow. I haven't. That's very creative, Eric. I haven't heard that before.
Nor have I, but I like it. Let's keep it.
It's all yours, Jo, and you really deserve it. Hi, it's good to hear your voice.
It's so good to hear you guys. I feel like it's been too long. It's been a rough. It hasn't been too rough, but it's been hard to not be with you guys the past over COVID.
We've all had better years, okay, but business has been okay.
It has been. No.
Now, we did catch up a little bit in Cleveland, recall. We didn't have too much time. We were both so busy doing other things, but I want to say to you one more time, thanks for all the fill-in coffee with, Jake not being there.
It's my pleasure if I can do something. And that's, I think, where we caught up is in the line to get more coffee at the show. I'm always happy. If I have coffee for you, Eric, I'll always give it to you. You can always run into one of our classes. Actually, everyone out there, come. If you see me and I have a class, come in, say hello, and I'll give you a cup of coffee. It's there all day long.
Wow.
That's an offer, isn't it?
It is.
That was a fun, that was a good event, I thought. Our class was great. The numbers were great. I was exceptionally pleased. And I thought it was just the social events around the show. And I thought the show itself was good. It was productive, and it was nice to have a foot back into normalcy.
Yeah.
And I'll say the same for Vegas. I thought, Brian, I know you guys were in Vegas. You popped in and out. Eric, you did not. But Vegas was obviously a lower turnout, but I thought it was a great show as well. People who were there to work and accomplish some stuff. So I thought I think we're back.
Well, you certainly are. Every time I talk to you, you're getting off a plane from somewhere. And let's just recap quickly one of the reasons that it was such a great year for you, Jo. First of all, it was earlier in 21 that we heard the announcement that you were made a partner of Desert Distribution, which is fantastic. Congratulations after many years of hard work.
Yes. Yeah, many years and lots of hard work, but thank you. Yeah, that was the ultimate goal.
Good.
So then you're elevated to vice president of the Pacific West Fastener Association. No small potatoes there.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, sort of icing on that cake is you won this award. What is it? The Women in Business from Wi-Fi.
Yes, that was a complete surprise. And I was teary-eyed, and I still am, because I'm just so honored. There's so many phenomenal, and I'm not just saying this, there are so many phenomenal women in our industry. I was stunned and humbled. I'm truly honored by all of it, actually, including PacWest VP.
It's a great little association, that one. We're not so
well,
little,
you're sweet. We've had some great presidents and some great executive committees, a great executive staff. So I have some big shoes to fill.
Refresh our memory. What's the executive board this time around?
Clay Weaver is president. I'm vice president. And then Mark Thomas Cordova is our treasurer secretary.
Oh, that's right. I mentioned that last episode. Now, how does that work where he gets both roles? Isn't that sort of dumping on one guy a little much? Or?
I think it is. we'll see how it works. I think that he'll do great because he's incredibly competent. And I'm not sure why they did that. It was a decision from the previous board, but I know that he's certainly qualified and he's going to do a great job. And then we have David Palmquist as our past president, and he still has a foot in the door, guiding us, and he weighs in quite a bit. We have a good team.
Okay.
A lot going on everywhere. And PacWest has a lot going on. We have, in March, are you guys planning to come out in March, the PacWest tabletop? I hope so. Are you aware of it?
I think you got us. Where's this one located, Joe? I took my eye off the ball.
Right. I hope you are both there. So PacWest is going to do their tabletop in Anaheim, and it's a new location. Normally we have it in Long Beach. We've moved locations. So March 16th, golf outing, 17th, conferences and show, the tabletop show, and then 18th, on the 18th, which is Friday, we'll have more conferences. And then there's there's an additional event, which to me, this sounds kind of cool. We're doing a harbor cruise, but it's actually on John Wayne's boat, his actual boat that he had. And you get to roam around it and be on his boat, and it's only it's not a huge yacht, so I think the first 100 attendees who sign up for it will get to go on it. So I think that's cool. I'm gonna do it.
Wow! So this is like the first of their decent shows after the Long Beach one. That was the last big one, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we did do a spring conference, fall in San Antonio. But as far as a table shop, yeah, this will be the biggest that we've had since Long Beach. So
wow, yeah, that was just like a week before the whole world shut down, wasn't it?
It was. I know we were all hugging and kissing, and then bing bang boom.
Yeah, and then
lockdown.
We all sort of suddenly during the show, the airline flights were starting to be cancelled. We didn't really know if we were going to get back, and it was a wild couple of days.
Yeah, everyone remembers that.
Plus, during that event, didn't you take the port tour on the boat?
Yes.
Oh, that was terrific.
Now, that would be crazy right now to go around and with all those ships out at anchor.
I know. I thought about that. I'm like, this would be the time to take a tour. But that was a good preface into what we had coming on our industry, because that's just nuts. I agree. Good memory.
Because we had, one of the guys, one of the speakers there was the guy who was speaking about was a really good speaker, but he was speaking about like the future, not relative to business, what he's predicting. And of course, at that time, no one sort of knew, and the predictions are all based on, well, we don't really know, what's going to happen over this COVID. No one knew that the entire world was going to come to like a crashing halt.
You're right. He's coming back, and the Economist will be back, and he'll give us a recap and another foretelling, I guess, where we're going. But he's always interesting to listen to. So,
he was.
Yeah, I enjoy him.
Now, who's responsible for lining up John Wayne's yacht? That sounds really cool.
I think it sounds cool too. Jamie Adams, who helps run PacWest, she's a native, and she had been on a previous holiday or cocktail party there and remembered it. So she lined it up for us. So sign up early. That's an incentive to sign up early so that you get to go on John Wayne's yacht.
Like, how long is it? I'm trying to understand.
It's probably 2 hours. It's at least 2 hours. I think it's
How long is the yacht? How long is the yacht?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. It's not huge. I want to say only 120 passengers. Don't quote me on that. It might be 140. 120 passengers are allowed on. It's not huge. And there's staff that's included in that. But the whole thing, you just get to meander through the whole yacht, and they will cruise around the port for a couple hours. We'll have cocktails and appetizers and hobnob, and that'll be the end of the PacWest event.
Wow, that sounds like a great way to end it.
It really does. Now, John Wayne was obviously really into horses, but he was into boats too, because he's got this yacht apparently, and Brian and I have a lot of experience passing one of his former estates that's up on Lake of the Woods in Ontario.
Yeah.
And where we would boat in, we would go to one of our remote destinations, and we would travel through this labyrinth of islands and expensive homes. And there was this one ginormous island estate with, what do you think, Brian? Was that about 8 or 10 stalls in the boathouse?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the biggest thing out there. And yeah, you could tell it's palatial. And it was John Wayne's.
I had no idea until we started planning this that he had a boat. And I just, I'm like, one boat? Sure. He's famous. I'm sure he had one, but I did not know any of that. Well, then you especially should join. And it's an iconic adventure. And you guys are boatmen too.
Yeah, I know. This is
You're captains.
Well, no, I'm not the captain. I'm the one that,
Brian's the navigator.
He handles
Are you
the
Gilligan?
ropes and things like that. Yeah, I'm the navigator too.
Well, good. How are you guys doing? You're surviving?
Brian's learning how to survive with the bird, as you can hear.
Yeah, I hear a few peeps in the background.
So we got that going for us. But he's also constantly on the hunt. We were talking about this earlier. You're somebody who knows a lot about fasteners, every aspect of them being so connected to the industry in so many ways. Do you know what a fit bolt is?
Fit bolt.
A fit bolt, yeah.
I want to say I've heard of it, but no, I don't think I do.
This is our latest stumper.
Okay, what is it?
No, I've no idea.
Oh, you don't know? Well, how'd you hear about it? Who asked you about it?
I was looking up one of the, it's clearly a European terminology because I was looking at one of the DIN standards, okay? And they called it a fit bolt for structural applications. I said, well, what's a fit bolt? Well, you go all over the place on Google and you cannot find a definition of a fit bolt. I don't know whether it means a very tight fitting or what it means.
I'm going to ask Carmen.
Yeah, well, I called a few people, and every single person I called yesterday was busy.
Did you? So you did not chat with industry expert Mr. Vertullo?
No, I did not. I did actually think of it at one stage, but I tried a number of other people.
Sometimes Brian tries to avoid the obvious. He enjoys the intrigue of the pursuit of these things.
Not necessarily true. This time I really wanted to know.
You know what, Brian? I'm going to ask around for you too because I'm curious, and I am lucky enough I get to sit in all of these great classes, and our instructors, all of them, go on these tangents, and they start telling stories about something. So I bet one of them might know what a fit bolt is.
Well, one of my theories is that it's a typo, or it's actually meant to say fitted bolt, but it was cut off. That's my theory.
I bet there really is such a thing.
It's got a DIN number too, though, Bri, doesn't it?
There's two DIN numbers, 7968 and 7999, and they're both sort of structural bolts, but they don't say, this is DIN terminology, they don't say a structural bolt, they say a fit bolt for structural applications.
So I did Google while you were talking, and it did come up. But it looks like it's shortened for fitting up bolt, and it's a quick assembly or temporary fastener, primarily used in structural steel connections.
Well, that's where I thought originally too. But here's the problem: a fitting up bolt is sort of different. It's called a speed bolt as well, and it's not a structural bolt as such. It's something they stick in place to line up all the holes in a structure before they start bolting it together. So it's very temporary. And then, when the big structure's all bolted up, then they take that thing out and put a real bolt in. So a fitting up bolt is true, but I don't believe this is a fitting up bolt. This is true 10.9 grade steel, class steel. So it's a true bolt for use in structures, so I'm led to believe, and that's what I don't know what it is. It must be. I don't know if it's British terminology. I don't know what it is.
All right, I'm going to find out for you.
Okay,
I'm going to ask
maybe
around.
Someone else who's listening to this will also have an idea.
I think we've got the entire fully threaded audience now inspired to get on this hunt, Brian.
What the hell is this bloody thing?
We've been sending new people we had a Fastener Training Week last week in LA. Great group of students. And Carmen joined us for a couple of days. He instructed for 2 days. And he several times announced to the class, Fully Threaded Radio, and everyone needs to watch it. And I did have, had a couple kids in there from the Navy email me later and say, what was that podcast? I want to know, how to listen to it. And I sent him the information. So maybe they're listening, but you have a new audience. You have always new people joining you.
Oh, that's cool. Now,
Yeah,
you
it was
know
cool.
that every time that we produce another episode of Fully Threaded, the Fastener Training Minute is transcribed out, and it goes online into news.fastenersclearinghouse.com. So every single Fastener Training Minute is sitting there, and you can just read it.
There's a lot of information there. That's a great resource.
Oh, it is. Yeah, if you go through 100 of those things, it's pretty amazing.
And it's free.
And that's really amazing. Yeah,
it is. That's great. That's a great resource.
Free's good. Yeah, it is.
Well, we were very fortunate to be able to pull all that together, and we did it with the help of the Fastener Training Institute when we first started it. Don't forget, Joe. So a lot of people know your voice almost every episode from the promos you do there. And well, we appreciate Carmen and the other instructors who chime in about the podcast, and we try and send it back your way too. So that's cool. Well, so how has life changed for you being a partner now of Desert Distribution? I mean, you were always out there doing your all for the cause, but now
I'm really out there.
Yeah, you're in the executive suite. And
well, and when we chatted briefly on the phone this week, you mentioned, Joe, I invited you to call me, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I have not. This is the first week I have been home since you and I saw each other in Cleveland, since the Cleveland show. It is, and that's how I'm answering your question now that I'm a managing partner. I am literally gone every other week, if not the whole week always, but a partial of the week, just trying to grow our business, meeting with all of our customers. We have some new lines. It's exciting. So growing that business, and we're looking to expand. Would love to have somebody else join our team to cover primarily California, but in the interim, John and I are doing it. And then Fastener Training is obviously kicking off, and we're, like I said, our classes so far have been very, very well attended. So I'm not complaining about any of it, but juggling that with, mom of 3, dog,
yeah,
husband.
Oh, I know the problems you have there. Okay.
Brian, last we spoke in Vegas, our dog was not doing a great job, but he's coming around a little bit. We went on a trip, and he went to dog camp, and we're surviving.
Well, we're surviving too, but the question is how. Okay. We had a dog. Our dog went away to a little training camp too.
I remember you told me. Did it not work?
Yeah, it did. Yep,
okay.
It did. Now, it didn't work totally, but I guess, all these little advancements we sort of be thankful for. He's much better behaved now, okay?
Good.
And he's sort of by now, he's been with us for like 7 months or something, 8 months. So now he sort of thinks he lives here, I guess.
Did you drive? Because you drove to Vegas, didn't you? Or you flew in and then you took a big road trip?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Without the dog?
Yeah, the dog was in training camp while we
That's
were away.
right. Okay.
So then getting back to your busy life, Joe, it sounds like you are juggling a lot. Thank God you don't have a bird in addition to all that stuff like Brian does.
No bird, yeah.
But
blew on
in
the bird.
conclusion, you're basically more work, twice the work, same pay.
Right. Yay.
That's the cliche, right?
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah. What's wrong with this picture?
Right.
All right. But you do have these new lines, so I'm sure that's going to be changing. Things are going to be really expanding in every way. And I know one of your lines is Goebel. So
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, how do you pronounce Goebel?
Goebel. I don't know if that's right or not, but I say Goebel, and you say Goebel.
Well, I fluctuate. See, I try to cover all my bases, but I'm just curious, how did you wind up with that one? Was that just the one that sounded natural, or did you hear one of our earlier episodes, or how did that work out?
It was a blend. I've heard it first. I heard it, and I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but I've heard it. It was probably on your podcast because you've chat about them quite frequently, and that is the one that sounded natural.
Interesting. Okay.
How else have you heard? I mean, what are you?
Well, we finally had a chance to sit down and have dinner with Marcel in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be damned, I don't know that he ever actually
I think
said
he
it as
pronounces it the way anyone around him pronounces it. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds very Germanic when he says it, but he's got the accent. It sounds so natural. I just don't sound right mimicking him.
Yeah. I asked people. I saw him in Cleveland as well, and asked the same question, and that is exactly how it's answered. However, you want to say it, it's kind of like Hans. I'm always asking, is it Hans or is it Hans? Is it Gobel or is it Gobel? How does Jackie pronounce it?
She's with you now, Gobel.
Gobel.
I think she started with Gobel, but switched. I don't know what her reasoning was, but I like Gobel because of Go Gobel, the hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just got a ring to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say between the Gobels and the Gobels, it's good because we'll give them full coverage and we're all working together here for the same cause.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, it would be Gobel if it was a Gobel, but it isn't. It's Goe, which is a sound we do not have in English.
Well, you're a whole nother case, Bri, because you understand all that, all the umlaut stuff.
Right. And they emphasize the first syllable. So, but however you want to say it, we all know what it is, okay?
So, Brian, you believe it should be Gobel?
I think it should be. I shouldn't be telling because Marcel's going to hear this and fall off his chair laughing. Okay, but I think it's closer to Goebel. The OE. The OE has a different sound.
Goebel.
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 Something like that. Okay, but if you want to, however people can hear it, that's just fine.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter as long as you buy it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, right.
Well, did you hear how this English guy on their new commercials says it?
No, I don't know how.
Oh man! First of all, I love the commercials that Christian made for them. I mean, they're just so smooth. We've got some pretty good commercials on the podcast, but I just love the sound of the Gobel ones. But he says it just rolls right off, and the British accent. He can get away with really pronouncing it in an all new way that I can't duplicate it. But it's just
that's true. Throw in a British accent, and okay,
right, because that's especially British anyway. Stuff the rest of the world. We'll do it however we want to. Okay, because we're British.
You sound so much more intelligent than us.
The products speak for themselves, right, Joe?
That's right. Tomato, doesn't matter. Still good for you.
You're selling the heck out of them, too.
Yep.
Another company that's expanding, and that's just fantastic. What are you hearing out there in the market? I mean, like I said, you just got off a plane. When I talked to you yesterday to invite you on the podcast, you were visiting customers.
Yep.
How are they dealing with everything out there, as far as you can tell?
I'm lucky. I get to visit a whole a wide spectrum of customers, the big, the little, the in between. And people are managing. They've resourced some product or dual sourced some product. A lot of it is, secondary sourcing, but no one has really put any lines down yet. They're still getting what they need, not in the quantities they want, and maybe it's slightly different. It's a different plating or a different material, but everyone's managing. No one's doors are shut, and they still have their customers. I do call on a couple of very large OEMs, and they're continuing to produce, but they've got huge crates of partially filled product until they can get the balance of whatever widget that they're missing. Luckily it's none of the parts I supply, but people are they're getting creative to get the job done. So from what I've heard, this is not going to end soon, and everyone's just scrapping to try and find parts, but they're getting it done still. And you walk in somewhere and the first words out of everyone's mouth is it's just so busy. And I think part of it is just finding your parts and logistically getting them there. And the other aspect of that is additional business. But it's a fun time. It's crazy, but it's a fun time. The weeks go by very, very quick. But it's all good.
Well, that's in stark contrast to last year when everything was dragging, okay?
Right. It is. I mean, you just never know what the next corner is going to bring to you. Do you? You're right. We were in the middle of COVID and everything kind of ceased for a little while. Luckily, I don't have any customers that have shut their doors. And a handful of them did go through some layoffs. Not all of them, but a handful of them did. And they're right back at it. So they've climbed right out of that. And I have the Rocky Mountains in the West Coast. So that's the skinny out here that I've seen.
Well, we'll see the FDI report coming up later in the podcast, but most of you know already that the optimism level for the next 6 months is still pretty high, and we're in the positive territory still, well into it. So we don't know where it's coming from, but we'll take it. And I'm glad to hear that you're getting a little taste of it, Joe. And sure do appreciate you stopping on the podcast. And congratulations again on such a great year. You're always welcome. And of course, we'll be hearing your voice as usual during your promos for the Fastener Training Institute. Before we let you go, what's coming down the road for that? Just let everybody know.
We have 4 Fastener Training Weeks. We're bringing a brand new one to North Carolina, to Charlotte. So look for that in May, but we'll be in Cleveland prior to that. But that's a new one for us. So 4 Fastener Training Weeks. We will have a class on avoiding risk through secondary processes at the PAC West Conference. And then we will be at Fastener Fair for Fastening 101. Busy year.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your support and your friendship, and it's good to hear your voices again.
Likewise. Okay.
Be good.
Thank you. You guys have a great, great Christmas.
Yeah, same to you. Okay.
Once again, it's been the diva of desert distribution, Joe Morris. We'll be back in a minute with more Fully Threaded Radio. Stelfast customers say it all.
Dave Kaplan, Mutual Screw and Supply, Rochelle Park, New Jersey. First of all, I know most of those people there literally for 40 years. They've been there that long. They're more than just vendors of mine, they're friends of mine. They refer business to me, and they're loyal as can be. I can drop ship product from them, and I never have a concern about them going after my accounts. They're the most loyal people on the planet. The people at Stelfast are incredible people.
For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. Parker Fasteners is your premier cold heading manufacturer, forging the future with precision and quality as our top priority. When you think of domestically produced sockets and tamper-proof screws from alloy and stainless, including A286, think Parker Fasteners. Forge the future with Parker Fasteners. Visit Parker Fasteners online today at parkerfasteners.com.
Goebel Fasteners increases efforts to maintain its reputation as the leading rivet source with a large inventory of parts and expedited delivery options. We have over $10 million worth of global inventory at stock at all times and pride ourselves on same-day or next-day shipping options that are available to all our customers. Goebel Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
Hi, this is Joanne with Star Stainless in Woodville, Illinois. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Feeling, I would say adequately, forced jolliness. I don't know. What's your jolliness level right now, Bri?
Well, it's a little early in the morning for me to be that jolly, okay? It doesn't start till a little later.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking a little wider than that. But all things considered, we're back. It's the news segment. Of course, the news is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, and the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Star Stainless, and Goebel Fasteners. Go Goebel. So we usually touch on a few news topics as we slide it over to Mr. McNulty, who, by the way, is joined by Dave Manthey this time around to discuss the FDI. But we've got special guest, another great friend and partner of the podcast, Mr. Craig Penland with Eurolink, on with us now. Hey, Craig.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning. Hope you're well. Okay.
I am alive and kicking, and my holly happiness is sky high because we had our company Christmas party last night. So,
wow, you're doing pretty good to be this, cogent, I guess, shall I say. I'm trying to think of the right word here.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was a good affair. You know, I know you won't mind me saying this, Craig, but I mean, I could see you passing yourself as head elf over there.
Right.
you know that didn't happen last night, but maybe for the future we will think about that. I think with the beard that I got a better chance of Santa down the road, and when the stomach is starting to follow. So,
well, before we turned on the recorder here, you and Brian, I overheard you got into a lengthy conversation about fit bolts, which thank you for helping Brian along that mystery road again, and but let's just set that aside as we talk this segment through, if you don't mind.
yeah, we don't sell very many of those.
Well, no one knows what they are. That's why.
That might be the reason we don't sell many.
Could easily be.
Well, I know you're selling a whole lot of fasteners, though, because, hey, let's face it, we spent a lot of time with you recently at the Cleveland show. Our booth was next door. We got a firsthand account of what's going on over there at Eurolink, and congratulations on a really successful show. I mean, from our vantage point, it looked like you had a really steady stream of customers, plus it looks like there's still guys out there in the industry who are really coming to learn about Eurolink and finding out you're a great alternative supplier.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we didn't go into the show with tremendously high expectations, but we were thoroughly impressed. And I know you guys have already spoken about the show on your last podcast, so we won't get into the specifics there. But we walked away very happy with the outcome of that show and the customers that we were able to talk to. We were able to thank some of them. They've never done business with us until this year. And because of customers like that, we've had a record-breaking year.
Wow, that's good.
Did you find that several customers mentioned the fact that with all the consolidation going on in the industry, they were glad to find a company like Eurolink?
Oh, wow. I think the biggest let's see the best way to describe this. The biggest change in our industry has been all those companies that had their min-max levels set at 20 to 24 weeks prior to COVID got hit with absolutely no inventory at some point last year. And these customers still need parts. And all of a sudden, they started just running to us. And about February of this year, it just exploded. And we knew that we were able to take care of the customers buying from Europe. We knew that our air freights were still going to come in on a weekly basis. We knew that our sea freight shipments were going to come in every month. As a matter of fact, we've only had 1 month all year long where our sea freight shipment was actually 2 weeks late. Otherwise, we've been a couple days late, but for the most part, we have been on time with our shipments coming in from Europe. And I know that there's other importers that buy from Europe and buy from some of the same suppliers we do. I think the difference is we have a supplier chain of about 15 to 16 different European suppliers. So when one is out, the other one has stock. When they're out, another one has stock. So, and we're able to consolidate all those shipments and get them into the United States so quickly. And it's something we've been doing for so long. This wasn't new for us. This wasn't all of a sudden, let's pivot. We've been buying from Asia for 30 years. Now we got to start getting from Europe and we got to try to get an air freight real quick. No, this is something that Eurolink's been doing for over 21 years now. So distributors out there, all of a sudden their eyes were opened and it wasn't about pricing. It was about, can you get your hands on inventory? And to this point, 11 months into this year, we've been able to take care of those customers. And we're hoping that it continues into next year and the year after that customers are happy with our service. They're happy with the people that they're speaking to. They're happy with the fact that we're taking care of them like nobody else, and they keep coming back.
Right on. Well, you plus that East Coast time zone mentality that you were talking about. It doesn't hurt you at all either. I mean, you're on top of things as the day starts, and that's the way you keep it. Now, you got a couple of other secret weapons in your quiver. I know that from firsthand experience also.
I tell you what, I don't know who my competitors out there or other customers out there use for an outside sales rep in the Midwest, especially the Ohio area. But mine, Jackie Ventura, went above and beyond expectations for our week in Cleveland. I tell you what, she picked us up from the airport. She had dinner reservations almost every single night for us. She gave us a history of our hotel that we were staying at. We got to tour the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got to tour the Science Center. We even got to go to see the Christmas Story House, of all things. And just an amazing week. And not only that, but she showed up early to put up our booth, and she stayed late to help us take it down. So if you're not getting that kind of service from your outside sales rep, I'm telling you what, you're on the losing end of this.
Yeah, well, she's got the reputation as kind of a big deal in the fastener industry, and that's why.
And she deserves every bit of it. She rocks. She definitely rocks, and we're so lucky to have her on our team. So
thanks so much for mentioning that, Craig. I know when she hears that, she'll be thrilled, and she deserves it. But thanks for pointing it out.
She does.
What do you say, Bri?
Wow. Well, we all knew that anyway.
Yep. Well, Craig, it's been fantastic to talk to you as we, again, warm up for Mike McNulty. He's got the Fastener News coming up, but want to thank you for a great year and wish you a wonderful Christmas with your family. And, again, we're all struggling to maintain our jolliness with all that's going on in the world right now. I know your mind and your heart are all over everything that's been happening. And again, we feel very fortunate to have you with us.
I tell you guys, as I was driving into the office this morning, my heart was heavy for all those in the Midwest that have been affected by these 30-something tornadoes that went through Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, Arkansas. I mean, it was all up and down the country. And I was thinking as I was driving in how blessed I am to be able to go to work this morning and to do what I love to do. And there's so many people out there this morning that are getting ready to go into the Christmas week next week, and they don't know where they're going to lay their heads at night. And our prayers are with them. I hope that our industry will step up and help take care of them, and whatever needs are out there, that those that are in the area will help these families find a place to sleep and food to put on their table for the coming days. So I just want to lift them up to you, and just remember that, what this season is really about, and taking care of one another, loving our neighbor. And I just wanted to mention that before we got off the air, because those people are very important, and we need to keep our eyes on them.
Amen.
Yeah, right. And it's a good, if you wanted to buy someone else an extra Christmas present or find someone new, then there's plenty of ways of donating these people in Kentucky and Southern Illinois, Tennessee, okay?
Absolutely. I know that without a doubt, as somebody that lives in a state that gets hit by hurricanes on a regular basis, I know without a shadow of a doubt that those people could use every bit of those presents and the food and the housing that they could get their hands on right now.
Right.
We've got a rather unique segment coming up after the news. Jake and Matt Boyd will be discussing their work with a charitable organization that some of you might be interested in hearing about if you're looking for opportunities to jump in and focus your charitable inclinations. Craig Penland, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service. It's been a pleasure. We're going to get to Mike McNulty now. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful Christmas.
Same to you, matey.
Brian, would you do the honors?
Yeah. So now, for news about screws you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. December is always a beautiful month for many reasons, including being able to watch professional and college football, and for looking back on the past year and ahead to the new one. 2021, the leftist dream year of wokeness, control, and debauchery, is coming to an embarrassing close, and there are hopeful signs that 2022 will bring an end to this latest but not last tyrannical scheme. So I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Baird analyst Dave Manthey joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on Fastenal, as well as newsmaker headlines from MW Industries, Ramco Specialties, Worth Additive, AFC, Brighton Best International, Vulcan Steel Products, Desert Distribution Sales, and Fastener Fair Stuttgart. On the back page report, we're going to talk about international trade. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
When it comes to plastic versus metal fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics says plastic wins. They're rust-free, UV-resistant, non-conductive, and less expensive to produce and ship. And don't forget, plastic fasteners can be easily color-matched to any application. Volt plastic fasteners are made in the USA and delivered worldwide. To let Volt quote your next project, visit them online at voltplastics.com.
We are Volt!
MacGyver, by the looks of that detonator, this whole place is gonna blow in just 10 seconds!
Just stay calm, Judy. All we need is a metric fastener manufactured to an ISO or DIN standard.
10 seconds, MacGyver! What about the fastener?
Not a problem. Eurolink specializes in hard-to-find metric fasteners. Delivered. Did you contact the sales team at EurolinkFSS.com like I asked you to last week?
Well, no. I tried other importers, but they couldn't fulfill the quotes.
Oh, Judy, now we're completely screwed. Eurolink. Hard-to-find metric fasteners. Delivered.
At Worth, status quo isn't an option. Worth is a global supply chain solutions provider of fasteners, MRO, and safety products, along with value-added services like kitting and assembly, 3D printing, and engineering assistance. Find out what Worth can do for you at worthindustry.com.
Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for November edged up for the second straight month, coming in at 57.6, slightly better than the previous month's result of 56.1. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insights on these results, we talked to Baird analyst Dave Manthey. Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back on. You were on at the beginning of 2021, so we're going to end the year, the last Fastener News Report of 2021 with you again. So we've bookended this wonderful year with Dave Manthey of Baird.
All right. I'll not take responsibility for the year, but I'll try to do better in 2022.
So what do you think of these results?
Well, it's beginning to sound like a broken record here in recent months. I would say to recap the year 2021 through November, we had FDI readings mostly in the 55 to 60 range all year. The FLI was even stronger. A lot of months were 65 to 70 or even higher. And you'd think we'd all be rich right now, but the broken record that I'm speaking of, it's been the 3 Ps, and we've heard it from respondents to the survey. We've heard it from public companies. You hear it on the news every night. It's ports, people, and pricing are the 3 factors that we hear over and over. And just to go into a bit of detail there on the port side, that's of course product availability or lack thereof and lead times. People would be workers, both distribution centers primarily, drivers, CDL holders, etc. And then on the pricing side, there's this undercurrent of inflation going on, which is, I think, to a large extent being driven by the other two, in addition to strong demand. So I'd say we're still with the 3 Ps. Hopefully 2022, we can alleviate some of those issues. But as it stands today, I think that's where we are right now.
Well, I think that's a great way to describe it, the broken record. 2021 is a broken record, and I like your 3 Ps. I haven't heard it stated that way before, but that's pretty good. So, yeah, hopefully this record will end with the new year. It will end eventually, but hopefully sooner than later. On the bright side with the numbers this time, it looked like the sales number took a nice jump up into 76.6 after being in the 50s last month, and everything else say kind of stable except for unemployment taking a little bit of a dip. What do you think there in the details?
Yeah, definitely. The sales index, the 6-month outlook, still pretty favorable here, which I think is consistent. But the growth has been impeded by these product availability issues and the employment shortages. With the one other that you didn't mention, Mike, is pricing, which I think we've kind of become desensitized to a number in the 90s all year, which is
right.
Incredible. But certainly that's a part of it too. So I'd say when you put it all together in a blender, it seems like the numbers are good, but maybe good for not the best reasons. And again, hopefully the makeup of of all these numbers that lead to the FDI and the FLI will, when we put them all in a blender, they look good, but hopefully the constituents of those numbers start to improve and get healthier in 2022 so that members of the audience here and participants in the industry can start feeling better about business.
Yeah, it's funny you said about the pricing. I'm looking at they're all in the 90s. Oh, except here's one that's 89.2 last May. It's almost 100% this month, 95.5 this month on the year to year. And then inventory, customer inventory is down, they're not in the single digits anymore, but still pretty low at 15 for customer inventories.
Yeah, well, that I wanted to make a note of that because when you think about the demand picture here, that still remains pretty good. And of course, there's always questions about is there double ordering going on or what's the situation? The good news is I've heard from several people that have said that situation of double ordering really is not a factor. It's more people are there's strong demand out there. But I think the other thing, Mike, what is good news to me of seeing a 15 there on the customer inventory side is that's potentially a sign that we could see stronger for longer demand trends because if fastener distributors are saying, hey, look, my customers the shelves are bare and they're sort of hand to mouth. And, by the way, I'd say if you look at the respondent inventories, they're just slightly above 50 now, despite some of these supply chain issues, but there were plenty of months here, they were in the 30s. So I think they're still, maybe not quite where they need to be. So that says that even if we start to get a better balance between supply and demand, in theory, that demand could go on for a longer period of time because the customers still need to replenish at least a bit here because 15 certainly says they're pretty slim right now.
A lot of empty shelves, right?
Yeah.
The forward-looking indicator was basically the same. It was 64.0 versus 64.5 last month. And so that is a little bit of a tempering from earlier this year, but still pretty strong in the 18th straight month of positive forward-looking outlook.
Yeah, and interestingly, one of the factors there in the FLI is not only there is the 6-month outlook and the employment outlook, but it's customer and respondent inventory. So the fact that those numbers are, at least the customer side is low, that serves to actually prop up the FLI because it sort of speaks to future demand. And that's kind of what we just talked about here. Yeah.
And you mentioned the 6-month outlook a couple times, and those numbers, they tempered a little bit too. Only 36, I'll give the numbers, 36% of the respondents, 36% are expecting higher business 6 months from now. 52, and more than half expecting it to be the same, and only 12% expecting it to be lower. So that number has been good all year, or those numbers have been good all year, but they've kind of come back to reality, I would say, these last 2 months.
Yeah, and I wonder to what extent all these supply chain issues and labor issues are having a dampening effect on that, where people are sort of saying, look, it feels like it should be better, but maybe it won't be if the ports can't get cleared and some of these inventory issues can't get worked through. And you're right, though. I went back and I was looking at the data here. If you go back to sort of January, February, March, the respondents that were saying things would be better in 6 months were in the 80s. And,
Right.
So things were looking really good then. But I think we all were kind of served with the reality of the unavailability of products and sort of the logistical issues and some of these things, because I think everyone was sort of looking out and saying, wow, demand looks really strong and we'll do great. But consistently what we've heard back from these surveys and from others is, hey, if I had more product, I could sell more product, but it's the availability that's the issue.
Okay, well, let's move on into the some of the comments that we got, which you've alluded to some of those. Nobody's really seeing any improvement in the state of the supply chain or labor, like you've already mentioned. One comment was hiring is tougher than ever, with very little replies on help wanted ads. Another person said, still having delayed deliveries with both overseas and domestic products, customers not to encourage increasing our sales due to uncertainty in the market and an inability to get other product to continue production on a daily basis. The supply chain problem is getting old. That might be my favorite comment this time around. It's getting, everybody talks about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all agree on that. It's just getting old now. But what I think is interesting is some of the federal reports, like the ISM, that more of a national overarching thing, the Beige Book, which is a U.S. government series, and some of the other data sources are implying that some of these supply chain issues are starting to improve. I mean, you can't prove it by me. In speaking with people and hearing from survey respondents, it sure doesn't sound like things are getting a lot better. I've heard some people say that maybe the chip situation is starting to get better, but it might just be that fatigue, that it's not getting any worse, and that feels like better at this point, possibly. And then you're right in terms of the commentary here. Prior commentary had been more focused on the port backups and the material shortages and things of that nature, which clearly continue. But it seems like commentary shifted gears a little bit toward the labor constraint situation here this month, and so we'll definitely keep our eyes on that as well.
Yeah, the one other comment here. Somebody said that, they had a disappointing November, but they're expecting to be back in full strength there, full speed in December. So I'm not sure what's changing there. Locally, we had an interesting anecdote. My wife she's a teacher at an elementary school, and on the Monday after the Thanksgiving weekend, the entire school district was shut down because they had 18 bus drivers call off Monday morning.
Oh, wow.
Now, the local football team played a night game that night, so that's what I said was the cause of it. But they had to first time ever, they had to shut the whole district down because of bus drivers.
Yeah, we hear that a lot about, across a lot of industries that, if you have a CDL, you're in high demand, and that's driving some of that inflation as well. Mm-hmm. I think some of the good news for potentially some of the listeners here and some of the companies that I deal with directly, on a positive note, it's even harder to find drivers that are willing to do the sort of over the road driving and spend multiple days on the road. You hear these horror stories about backups at the ports and guys sitting in their trucks for 3 days before they can either drop off or pick up. The good news is that the more local delivery drivers or the route drivers that may still require a CDL, those folks are going home at night. So I think we've heard that consistently, that it's maybe just a touch easier than it is for the long haul truckers, but certainly very tight across the board.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think that's it for the comments. And anything else you want to add? I mean, what about any of the stuff you're hearing with public companies that you guys are following?
Yeah, so we just had our industrial conference the second week in November, and so companies like AIT, Fastenal, Grainger, Hillman, and the CEOs and CFOs of those companies had commentary that was very consistent with everything that we've talked about here today. Just this morning, Fastenal came out with their November average daily sales up 13%. And it was actually better than that under the surface because there's still a safety overhang to some extent. The fastener part of Fastenal's business was up 24% year over year. So really looking very strong there. I think they've made commentary about having to bend over backwards to procure product and get creative. So it'll be interesting to see what the cost side of the equation looks like for them. It's certainly not easy to get those products to sell, but they've found a way to do that. So I think that it's a positive indicator in that it does tell you that the demand is there, certainly. And hopefully we get this supply and demand balance back in effect here as we move into 2022.
Now, how was that conference? I saw it on your website. It said you had 275 leading public and private companies represented. So it sounds like it covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, it's a massive conference, and I should know this. I believe this was the 51st year that we've held it. It's the longest running industrial conference in the business, and we were really hoping to be back in person at the Four Seasons in Chicago. Unfortunately, we had to do it virtually again this year based on the timing of things, but we're looking forward to getting back in person next year and continuing that tradition. But it's a great conference. Thanks for mentioning it. We think it's one of the best that's out there.
Yeah, I'm looking here at, it covers a lot of sectors, industrial equipment, aerospace, defense, building products, energy, transportation, truck and auto, machinery, coatings, metals. It covers everything. It looks pretty interesting. I think if listeners are interested, they can go to bairdconferences.com to see some of the details. In fact, there was one report I thought might be of interest to people. It was tagged in that same page there, but this was warehouse automation, enabling the frictionless fulfillment creates a unique opportunity in industrial investing. So it's all about automating your warehouse, it looks like.
Yeah, we definitely at Baird, we cover the waterfront as it relates to industrial. It's one of our key power alleys, and I cover the distribution portion of that, which is why I guess I'm here today. But we cover everything. We cover the manufacturers, and like you said, it's machinery, it's aerospace, it's automation. We cover basically if it's made out of metal and moves, it's covered at Baird. So yeah, it's a great franchise we have. We're really proud of our legacy and the conference as well.
Yeah, well, it looks like you guys are doing a good job, and you in particular are doing a great job in giving everybody these FDI reports every month. So, the listeners appreciate it, and the people who participate in the process appreciate it too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, I hope everyone has a happy new year, and we're looking forward to, like I said, I really hope that we see numbers that are similar to the ones we saw in 2021. But I hope the way that we get there is slightly different, and it's more about booming sales in addition to good pricing and steady inventory levels than what we had in 2021.
So yeah, overall, I think it was still a good year, and hopefully the next year will be even better.
Absolutely.
All right, Dave. Well, thanks again for joining us, and thanks for all that you do for the FDI.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, and Happy New Year, everyone.
That was Baird analyst Dave Manthey. The FDI number for November was 57.6 versus 56.1 in October 2021. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and to get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. In early December, Fastenal opens its doors to its new 97,600 square foot corporate office, welcoming 450 Fastenal employees to downtown Winona, Minnesota on the historic Mississippi riverfront. Dana Johnson, Fastenal VP of Corporate Real Estate, said, quote, "We saw this as a community service project, and we felt that if we brought 300 to 400 jobs downtown, it would help Winona grow and prosper by attracting small businesses to the riverfront, encouraging entrepreneurship, and become a vibrant place for graduating college students to move to." The new building is a mass timber frame design, which pays homage to the downtown riverfront area and includes locally sourced stone and mixed media building materials. Intended to look like a 100-year-old building from a distance, the new office blends into the town's historic landscape. Up close, modern features tout Fastenal's manufacturing and supply capabilities. From exposed X-bracing right down to every single nut and bolt, Fastenal products can be seen incorporated throughout the building. The project took 16 months to complete, and you can see a picture of it on the cover of the December 20th edition of the Fastener News Report, available online at fastenertech.com, as well as at cdsmith.com, the construction project manager's website. Also this month, Fastenal announced that it was named as one of America's safest companies by EHS Today, an occupational safety and health magazine. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition and expansion news, MW Industries completed the acquisition of Ideal Fasteners. Ramco Specialties expanded its fastener production capacity in Michigan. TriMas announced that it is acquiring TFI Aerospace. Illinois Tool and Works, also known as ITW, completed the acquisition of MTS test and simulation business from Amphenol. Worth Additive Group signed an agreement to distribute Rapid Shapes 3D printers. FDH Aero acquired Unical Defense. AFC Industries announced the acquisition of AALL American Fasteners. Sunco Industries expanded its fastener distribution center in Osaka, Japan. IFE Group announced that Desert Distribution Sales will be representing and promoting IFE products in California, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and New Mexico. In personnel news, Desmond Vance was promoted to Charlotte Branch Manager at Brighton Best International, also known as BBI. Brent Thorson accepted the role of Sales Manager at Vulcan Steel Products, which also named Jake Masters at Vulcan's new Transportation Manager. And TriMas appointed Taylor Baldwin as its Director of Information Technology. And in trade show news, Mack Brooks Exhibitions announced a new name, logo, and style for Fastener Fair Stuttgart, which is now called Fastener Fair Global, scheduled to take place in March of 2023. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International magazine and the Fastener News Report monthly newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Now let's turn to the back page to talk about international trade. December 11th, 2021 was the 20th anniversary of China's admittance into the World Trade Organization, also known as the WTO. A goal long championed by global citizen and former President William Jefferson Clinton, as well as current Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Later this month, on December 27th, we can also mark, if not celebrate, the second trailed milestone of the 20th anniversary of another global citizen and former President George Walker Bush granting permanent trade status to the People's Republic of China, a move authorized by the United States Congress following China's entry into the WTO. In a press statement, the WTO said that China's accession to the organization in 2001 was a pivotal event in the history of the multilateral trading system, and that over the past 20 years, China has been a textbook case for how global trade integration can drive growth and development. In his December 27, 2001 statement, President Bush wrote, quote, "This is the final step in normalizing U.S.-China trade relations and welcoming China into a global, rules-based trading system. It marks the completion of more than a decade of bilateral and multilateral negotiations and the beginning of a process of working constructively with China to help it fully implement its commitments on trade liberalization." End quote. These statements sound diplomatic, promising, and sophisticated, but I would like to focus instead on the actual fruits that have been produced by these actions over the last 2 decades. Today, China is the world's leader in intellectual property theft and the production of counterfeit goods. It is a master of currency manipulation and the dumping of subsidized products into countries at below market prices that destroy and devastate domestic industries and local communities. It is a pusher and enforcer of one-way technology transfers. It has a massive global stranglehold on the production of many critical materials and technologies, and it engages in suspicious foreign investment projects via its Belt and Road Initiative. In a detailed article titled China's Economic World War, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton chronicles China's impact on international trade, and the picture is startling. 20 years of highlights for China include 1,200% economic growth, status as the world's largest exporter and second largest economy, as well as massive global market shares. For example, China now produces 25% of all automobiles, 33% of all merchant ships, 40% of all mobile phones, 70% of televisions, 50% of all steel, 67% of generic drug ingredients, 70% of drones, and over 90% of shipping containers. Does any of this sound like free or fair international trade? No, it actually looks like economic warfare, methodically designed and implemented by the Chinese Communist Party, with the gates open wide and the roads paved smoothly by Western leaders intoxicated by adulations and the prospect of donations received at global conferences. Take a step back and combine this international trade debacle of the last 20 years with the Chinese Communist Party's role in creating and distributing COVID-19, the wicked human rights abuses going on daily in China, and the International Olympic Committee gifting the 2022 Olympics to Beijing, and tell me if anyone should be celebrating the 20-year anniversaries of these grave mistakes. Instead, we should be calling for the U.S. Congress to at least terminate China's permanent normal trade relations status, because global international groups and corporations are not going to do anything to stop the bleeding. And instead of back page bonus questions, let's end the year with recognition of another December milestone, the recent death of former U.S. Senator Robert Joseph Dole from Kansas, also known as Bob Dole. I had the privilege of voting for him in the 1996 presidential election, and he certainly seemed to me to be an example of someone who led a great American life. I also understand that he had a good sense of humor, which is evident in these lines from his farewell letter. As I make the final walk on my life's journey, I do so without fear, because I know that I will again not be walking alone. I know that God will be walking with me. I also confess that I'm a bit curious to learn if I am correct in thinking that heaven will look a lot like Kansas, and to see, like others who have gone before me, if I will still be able to vote in Chicago. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
At Bright & Best, we continue to expand our wide range of products, including stainless steel and metric fasteners. Our family of brands include Preferred, U.S. Anchor, and Ironclad Performance Wear. BBI has been a trusted partner since 1925. With award-winning hand tools, gloves, and drywall screws, BBI is the largest master distributor of fasteners in the USA. Tested, tried, and true. We are Bright & Best. To learn more about Bright & Best, visit brightandbest.com.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. BuckeyeFasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
ND Industries has been increasing the safety and reliability of fastener assemblies by developing innovative materials and processes since 1955. Names like ND Patch, Thermalock, Electrolock, and Vibratite serve a wide variety of fastening applications across North America and around the world. To see our full line of innovative products or to discuss your application requirements, contact ND Industries today at www.ndindustries.com.
Well, hi everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and AIM Testing Laboratory in beautiful El Cajon, California. I'm here fresh back from 2 days teaching the Fastener Training Institute Certified Fastener Specialist program in La Mirada, California. The first 2 days were my part. One of the things we did there is we talked and taught about the torque-tension relationship. As you know, that's one of my favorite topics. The great equation T equals KdP is taught and demonstrated, where torque is equal to a K factor, the secret sauce number, times the diameter of the fastener times the preload of the fastener. And we teach that and we demonstrate it with some instrumentation. And then later in the day, we break up into groups, and each group gets to do some actual experimenting with torque wrenches and the infamous Skidmore-Wilhelm bolt tension calibrator. One of the things that happened there was a little bit of an error that led our experiment in a certain direction, and we discovered something very interesting about fastener reusability. And when I come back, I'm going to talk generally about fastener reusability and tell you what happened with our experiment and the kind of data that we generated.
Thanks, Carmen. This is Jo Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. It is so great to be back to in-person instruction, and I am happy to announce some news. We have our acclaimed Certified Fastener Specialist week-long program has just undergone a complete refresh. We have a brand new curriculum. With the help from the Industrial Fasteners Institute, our Fastener Training Week now includes a lot more interactive content, revised class presentations, and expanded course outline. So our next week-long class is going to be hosted by the Pacific West Fastener Association in Los Angeles from November 29th through December 3rd. But before that, are any of you headed to Vegas? We are. FTI will be there, and we are hosting a full-day seminar instructed by Carmen Vertullo and Rob LaPointe from AIM Testing Lab. We're going to present value-added service or costly mistake, key elements for the entire supply chain. This full-day program will show users and suppliers how to detect and prevent risks associated with value-added fastener services and maximize opportunity for a great result. This class is truly for everybody. So if you're a fastener distributor, if you're an end user, or if you're a manufacturer, whether you're in purchasing, sales, engineering, quality, you know what, even operations, you really need this class. Everybody does secondary processes, so you can register through the IFE website or directly with FTI. And lastly, we have recently launched a brand new webinar series called Fastener Basics Like Never Before, sponsored by Bright Invest International. It's a 21-part webinar series presented by Carmen Vertullo. You can join anytime. We record all the sessions, and you can still complete the full series. Come on, let's face it, Carmen, he is the master at webinar fastener training classes, and he uses his talents to present each topic creatively using a ton of cameras. He's got great stories, and in so much detail, you'll walk away an expert. This program covers all topics relevant to new fastener professionals, and it's really a great precursor for any advanced learning that you want to do with FTI. So for more information about any of our webinars and our classes, please visit our website at www.fastenertraining.org. Thanks, everyone. Now back to Carmen.
Quality products, quality service, quality customers. That's 3Q Inc., a fastener distributor unlike any you've worked with before. With its unique remote managed inventory stocking programs, wide array of secondary service offerings, and wholly owned cold forming capability, 3Q Inc. has been supporting fastener distributors since 2008. 3Q offers a wide range of 100% American-made fasteners, including 100% made in USA domestic lock washers, clevis pins and bolts, special ITW screw products, Tap-R, Boss Screw, TL stud, and grip tied inserts, Sems lock washer products, split lock washers, tooth lock washers, and square cone, as well as specialty and imported parts. Give 3Q a call today to discuss your needs and experience 3Q quality for yourself. 3Q Inc. www.3q-inc.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo returning with the Fastener Training Minute. Today, talking about fastener reusability and an experiment that we conducted at the Certified Fastener Specialist Training Program just this week. One of the things that end users often wonder, and even OEMs often wonder, is once a fastener has been installed and tightened, presumably everything is correct, worked as advertised, and then it's taken apart. When we put it back together, do we expect that fastener to behave in the same way? In other words, if we tightened it initially to a certain torque and achieved a certain clamp load, would we expect to be able to receive or recreate that same clamp load with the same torque? OEMs advertise in their maintenance and repair bulletins and instructions torque values when parts are taken apart and put back together, theoretically based on the torque value that they originally used. The experiment that we did at the Fastener Training Institute program involved using zinc-plated nuts, bolts, and washers, 3/8-16 diameter. And what we were expecting to do in our experiment was we were simply going to tighten them down with the zinc plating, find out what the K factor would be, which normally would be 0.22 for zinc, and then add some lubrication and see how that lubrication would affect the clamp load. Now, I have done this many, many times over the years in the classroom and in the laboratory and for customers and clients. And so I have the opinion that zinc as a K-factor control coating is notoriously unreliable. Even though the advertised K-factor is 0.22, I've seen it anywhere as low as 0.16 up to 0.25. And the reason for that generally would be, and I'm talking about under controlled conditions, not like stuff goes sideways in the Skidmore with the torque wrench in the laboratory. However, it's not just the zinc that determines the K factor. Even to a larger extent, it's the top coating that goes on the zinc, sometimes called the passivation coating. And normally it's some kind of chromate, hexavalent chrome, trivalent chromate, or perhaps some other kind of a non-hexavalent chrome that's not trivalent. Whatever the plating applicator chooses to use, that meets the requirements for the salt spray test, that they would achieve the correct corrosion resistance. Zinc generally does not come with a stated or guaranteed K factor. So whatever they use is what you get, and you may or may not know. Now, fortunately, folks who use zinc as a fastener coating probably are not using that fastener in a critical application where the K factor being off by a few points is going to make the wheels come off the wagon. But many other applications for fasteners do require an accurate and consistent K factor, and they tend to either shy away from zinc, or if they want to use zinc, they will specify a lubrication type top coat that will produce at least, if not a low, at least a very tightly controlled K factor. Well, what happened in our experiment after we put the first bolt in and we got a K factor, it was kind of low. I think it was around 0.19. And then we were supposed to remove that bolt and nut and put a fresh one in with some lubrication, but we failed to remove it. We got sidetracked in a conversation and we ended up retightening that same bolt. And we got a K factor of 0.26, drove it through the roof. Once we figured out what happened, we decided we were going to change our experiment from what happens with the lubrication to what happens on the second tightening. Now, we had 4 groups of 6 people in each group. Each group got to do 3 experiments with a first and second tightening, so that's quite a number of experiments. And what we discovered first off was that the K factor on our zinc on the first tightening ranged between 0.19 on the low side up to 0.24 on the high side. About what you would expect for zinc. It really kind of met the advertised expectation. I was surprised at that. However, on the second tightening, every one of them added at least 5 points to the K factor. They went as high as 0.36. Most of them were over 0.30. So what we discovered was that on the second tightening of the bolt, something deteriorates in the top coat that makes it so that we no longer have the same torque tension relationship. Therefore, when we maintenance that item, we should not be able to expect to get a good, consistent, reliable clamp load compared to the original assembly. So that leads us into fastener reusability. If we're going to reuse fasteners, that's something we need to be aware of. I did have a case once where we did the same experiment for a client. They had cadmium plated fasteners to determine whether or not they should use a different maintenance torque than the original assembly torque. It turned out in that case that cadmium did not deteriorate. It worked very well. Cadmium's a great torque tension control coating. So we didn't have to change anything. But it might be that if you are producing product with zinc-plated hardware and you expect it to be maintained in the field, you may need to increase the torque for the maintenance operation compared to the original assembly operation to produce the same torque tension relationship. It was a fun experiment. The students enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. We'll probably make a more formal version of it sometime and maybe turn it into a magazine article. Well, this has been Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for listening.
This is Leo Core, editor of Distributors Link magazine, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
All right, here we are at the MWFA holiday party. Jake Davis, BTM Manufacturing roving reporter for Fully Threaded Radio. I'm here with the esteemed GHIII, president of the MWFA. George, how you doing?
I'm great, Jake. Thanks for having me.
We got a heck of a night here. Got a holiday party in person. Santa's sitting over here to our left. We got toys, a table full of toys. How you feeling?
What a great night. I mean, happy holidays to everybody out there. And, a night like tonight just makes you really, be thankful for all the things that are joyous in your life. And we've got, 125 people here, and they're just having fun, mingling, drinking, and taking pictures with Santa. So You can't get better than that.
It's a great night. Great to do it in person. Real quickly, just wanted you to kind of capture, we've had one heck of a year, a great year with the MWFA, Fastener Week, everything that's going on. We pulled it off probably, people are still talking about our MWFA Fastener Week in August, but what does 2022 look like for us?
It's hard to try to recapture what we did for this year, right? We had a jam-packed schedule, and I think we were mildly successful with it, and I can't thank the board enough for all the hard work they put into it. To try to capture that and try to do better in 22 is going to be a huge feat, but we've got the board to do it, Jake. We really do, and I'm excited. I'm excited to do this again, replicate it, and if not, come out even that much stronger and bigger at the end of the year.
All right, man. Wish you the best of luck. I'm going to go give Santa my list.
I'm going with you.
All right, buddy. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
And that was the heartwarming sound of the recent MWFA Christmas/holiday event, brought to us by our roving reporter, Jake Davis. He's everywhere. He's been on the podcast quite a bit. He's been a great partner of the podcast for a long time, and he's with us now. Jake, hey, welcome back, Mr. Valdez.
Eric, good to be back. Happy holidays to you. Appreciate the time, and it was great to be able to get out of the office and have an in-person gathering and, be able to tell Santa what I was looking for this year.
Ooh, yeah, looking forward to hearing about that. We got Matt Boyd with Parker Fasteners on the horn with us, too. Wanted to finish the podcast season strong, and I don't know if you've got any Christmas wishes that you're going to share with us, Matt, but I'm glad you're here. That one of my wishes was to get you back on here before we ran out of 21. Hi.
Hello, Eric, Jake. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to a good session today, and happy to be a part of the closing episode for 2021. So thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, well, we're rocking it out. And so tell me a little bit, or tell us a little bit more about what went down at the MWFA. It sounded pretty festive. GHIII, of course, is the president. How long is he the president for this term?
Well,
I mean, how's that?
He's starting his he's beginning his second term. He was reelected in November and reelected for another year. Typically, and even I kind of found out just in my time on the board that they like to have president for a couple years. So George has got one more year in him. He could probably do more than that if he wanted to, but we'll see what happens next year. And so got George at president. I was voted in as VP, and Bob Baird, GQ Baird, treasurer. And then we got Bobby Wagner with Beacon that's going to be our secretary. So, and just some great additions to the board that we're thrilled to have. So another strong year for the MWFA, no doubt.
I've got a lot of fond memories over the years of hitting those Christmas parties. Always a good time. I think they've got like the same Santa year after year, which is nice.
Yeah, he hasn't changed much. And, it was a little bit, the attendance was down, which kind of, makes sense. But like I said, just to get out, I think we had around 100. Which we were extremely happy with. It was just like I said, fun night to see customers, suppliers, friends, just to be able to mingle, for about 3 hours. As tradition goes, there's a small contingent that heads to the Addison/UPS pub. And so we kind of closed down the event at Medina and just headed down the street for a little extracurricular and, a little bit more networking between those. We probably had 12 to 15 of us that went down there.
Yeah, we caught a little slice of that at the top of the episode today. Thank you also for catching that one.
Sure. It was, it was great. They had a great time. Like I said, you just kind of a little continuation of what we were doing up in Medina, a little more individual networking, catching up with friends, and, awkward conversation here and there once if we did talk business, but that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, it does happen. How about you, Matt? What kind of holiday festivities went over at Parker?
Well, we gave our employees an opportunity to decide if they wanted to do something in-house and have a lot more gifts to share, or we wanted to go external and just have fun and enjoy everyone's company without all the big gifts. And our employees chose to go offsite and just enjoy everyone's company and give thanks for the good year we've had. So. Last Thursday, we had a really nice evening at an offsite venue called Main Event, and we had dinner, kind of had, huddle, and then from there went and played games and bowled and laser tag and all those kind of fun things. So it was really good, cornerstone to the year that we've had, and everyone enjoyed the company of others, and we had plus ones come as well. So it was a really good event for us at Parker. And then, of course, we were involved in a Pac West event last week as well, where they get together and do the Toys for Tots. And so it was really nice to be a part of that as well.
Tell you one thing the fastener industry is always dependable for, and that's giant piles of toys for the
yeah,
toys.
I was going to say
tots.
that. Yeah, we did the same. Midwest did the same. I know SFA's got an event scheduled for collecting toys for a little happy hour this week. So yeah, it seems like a correlation with fasteners. Toys being put together. Hopefully with some of our fasteners and, giving back when we can.
It's a charitable group. Now, you and Matt got together. Now, how do you actually know each other through the industry? I mean, you're going to tell us in a second about some work that you did for a charitable group called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. How did you get connected for that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew of Parker, knew of Matt and Ryan, but we really, if it wasn't for the event, in August at Naperville, we probably wouldn't have met. I had seen their event with Sleep in Heavenly Peace that they hosted, and we just got to talking at the little happy hour we had on that Monday evening of Fastener Week, and just kind of went from there organically, listened to what they had to say about the event. on my side personally, we were kind of looking to branch out to find something new to do here in the community. So it was just a great opportunity for BTM and ISCO to kind of join forces. And, Matt was great in putting together a couple calls with my, Matt, we had the head guy on with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, their national founder on a Zoom call. They had their leader from their chapter in Arizona, and my guy here, husband and wife here in KC, and it just started steamrolling from there.
Well, Matt, can you explain to us? It sounds like you got this ball rolling. What exactly is the organization, and how did Parker get involved with it?
Well, first, let me back up real fast. I've listened to all these podcasts with Jake on it, guys, and I felt like I knew Jake before I knew Jake. So yeah, we, we're at the MWFA event in August, and, we had just wrapped up our event, and I was kind of still on a high from it, because I'm sure Jake can attest that it really leaves you with a great feeling of accomplishment, being able to help kids in need. So we had just finished the event the previous weekend, and then 2 days later we were traveling to Chicago for that event, and so we ended up just kind of finding ourselves at the lunch table with Jake and Brian, and it was like, what, I'm gonna talk about it and encourage Jake to act on it, and he definitely accepted the challenge. But to explain what Sleep in Heavenly Peace is all about, the founder, I want to say it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago now, but just as a acting on a need from his local community, and I believe in Idaho, he made some bunk beds for some kids in need, and he was really surprised with how many people were willing to come out and help him do that, and it just kind of grew from there to the point to where it became a pretty, for a small town in Idaho, it became a big deal. And Mike Rowe did a special, and I think it was just like a short, that's published on Facebook, but you can find it on Facebook or YouTube. But Mike Rowe and Sleep in Heavenly Peace, it really does a good job of explaining how it all came about and what they're doing. But it's a great organization that has spun off into different local chapters, and it's a national nonprofit organization that essentially just addresses bedlessness. I'm not quite sure if that's in the dictionary or not, but that's the word they use. They address bedlessness in the local communities for kids that don't have a bed to sleep in, simply put. So it's a great organization that allows you to get involved in that crisis. And we'll get into the details, but they do a really good job of allowing outsiders to come in, get involved, make a difference, and actually allow you to be part of the installation piece, even to see your hard work come all the way to fruition. So it was really, really awesome process overall.
So somehow did Parker and BTM, did you get in some kind of like a friendly competition, or was there an event actually that you participated in together? It seemed that way from what I heard.
Yeah, it was, they just pushed it. I had told them I was interested. And like I said, Matt and Parker was great in setting up that original Zoom call. And once we had that, Parker pushed, others, really the industry. And we started the hashtag or Fastener Bed Challenge. And, I just scooped it up. And ran with it. Like I said, I was looking for something, from a community standpoint. We certainly have some things that we've done in the past at both organizations that we'll continue to do, but I just wanted a little bit of a shot in the arm, and I love the opportunity. So I got back and got to talking, and then I just went to a build day myself, just Jake Davis. I was at a local church here in KC. Ran from 9 till 1, and I think they did 40 beds, and I sanded basically which on my knack level, I can handle sanding, lumber, so without screwing it up. So I did that for about 2.5 hours, and basically they had enough help. And so, I was just hooked from that, just driving home. But I don't think we do it without the being pushed by Parker. So credit to them, to the industry. And I think Matt would agree, we're both wanting to take this further throughout our industry, through the associations or other companies. It's just a great opportunity. Following to them, it is somewhat competitive. There is an investment piece to this. There is a cost to each bed. ISCO and BTM committed for 50 beds, and we did that late October on a Saturday. The good Lord blessed us with just a sunny, cool day, and it was just perfect. We had about 60 plus volunteers throughout the company, community, family that showed up. And you're not basically, you're prepping the beds, and then kind of somewhat good timing on the podcast part. And I was able to, this past weekend, with a small team of about 5 of us, we actually delivered the beds, so kind of went full circle. We visited eight homes, probably placed, I think we did 3 or 4 bunk beds, and then probably, I would say, 10 to 12 just singles. And then, you're taking what you did, so to speak, in late October, and you're delivering it into these kids' homes, small children, teenagers, in situations, and you're just walking away from it, and you've just made an impact in that kid's life. So it was fantastic. It was Sleep in Heavenly Pieces deliveries across America, nationwide this past Saturday. We didn't know that till we got there, and I think Saturday, between all the groups that went out in the KC area, they delivered 61 beds. So that includes that includes the bed, the stuff that we kind of fabricated, got ready, but it also includes mattress. It also includes, sheets, comforter. Our local chapter here in KC partners with Project Linus. They get each kid gets a handmade quilt. So, like I said, it's just a wonderful, well-run organization. And we wouldn't be here today without Parker's pushing and backing. And Matt and I we're doing it again. Like I said, and it is a little bit competitive, and that makes it all the more worthwhile to me.
Right. Well, it gives you, it's that just added extra incentive to have fun with it while you're doing good. I just wanted to say, guys, that I wanted to definitely give you the chance to use the podcast as a springboard for getting this message out, because it's clear that it's important to you. You're conscious-minded, you're socially conscious-minded companies, and, we salute you for it. So you've been great partners of the podcast all these years. And let's just say it this way. It's the time of year to be thinking this way, and especially let's note that we are recording this in the immediate aftermath of this just unspeakable, horrific tragedy down in Kentucky and a few other states. But there are hundreds and hundreds of displaced people right now. And I know this is just one effort that can go to improving the lives of those people, but there is just no end to the need right now. And I'd like to give the website for Sleep in Heavenly Peace for some of you listeners out there who may be thinking this is something I want to get involved in with my company. It's shpbeds.org. So Sleep Heavenly Peace, shpbeds.org. Matt, tell us a little bit more about how you initially got started in this and what you think your next steps are going to be with your work.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Eric and Jake. For us, I got involved. I actually did. My church put on an event in January of this year, and it just, it felt good doing it, being a part of it. And the more I get involved in the organization and helping out and doing different builds, more and more stories I've heard from personal friends who actually I would have never guessed that they didn't have a bed growing up. Someone that's very near and dear to our business, who's one of our employees, explained to us that he didn't have a bed to sleep on until he was 13 years old, so. When you know people that you're personally vested with, and you hear their stories of not having a bed, and you just you take certain things for granted, and so that really kind of stirred me to continue to push this. But for us, I got involved in a separate event, and we're using a lot of lag screws, and so I made a comment to the chapter president that, maybe we could help them find a lower cost lag screw. And, that just
I
kind of
think you're talking to the right audience for that, man.
Right. Yep. And we actually, we found them, of course, helped him find them overseas, but then, getting them over is a whole nother can of worms, a whole nother topic. But anyway, we scheduled a build in August, and we're a little nervous because obviously we're in Arizona. It's very hot in August. So we scheduled it a little extra earlier than what, I'm assuming Jake scheduled his. So we had a 6 a.m. kickoff just to beat the heat. And the night before, we had a monsoon storm. It had, like 70 mile per hour winds. So, we got to our place of business, our shop at 5 a.m. to find all this stuff, kind of pushed around in places it wasn't supposed to be. But regardless, we had a great event. We actually had 130 people come out, including the mayor, local police, local fire department. We had some youth council from Buckeye come out. Man, they were great, hardworking kids. I think we ended up with 40 Parker employees, along with some staff, with their families as well. So it was a great event. We had a coffee truck. We had a hot dog vendor come out and serve lunch. And, the day before, when we realized we were going to have so many people come out, we were a little worried about giving everyone enough to do and not, finishing too early. So at the last second, the leadership team at Parker decided to throw another $4,500 at it. So we're, total in $14,000 in, and we bought more lumber right before the crunch time, and we ended up building 90 and a half beds at our event. And again, we had the opportunity to actually do an install that day. They had a family out near us that needed a bed. So Robert and the mayor and Ryan all went out and installed a bed while we were doing our event. And just an overall really good opportunity to give back to the community. All you really need is a big parking lot, and not super big, but enough space to house 100 people and or less. Probably 50 is really all you need, but depending on how many beds you want to make. But Sleep in Heavenly Peace brings everything to the event. So the tents, the tables, the sanders, all you have to do is provide the funds and the folks to actually, to acquire the lumber and, of course, to cut it, sand it, and drill it, and stain it. But overall, really, really good event. We're really proud of it. Like I said, when we went to the MWFA event in August, that week after our build, we had to tell people. So told Jake and I told a few other people in the industry, and we came up with the Fastener Bed Challenge because, we are competitive. Jake is competitive. A lot of people in our industry are competitive. So we said, you know what, in 2022, let's make the Fastener Bed Challenge. Let's get as many people in our industry involved. And we want to keep like a running total that maybe we can update, Fully Threaded Radio and maybe Link Magazine each quarter we let you guys know how many, as an industry, how many beds we've made. And we really, think that we can make this a fun, competitive challenge that it helps kids throughout the country. And obviously there's a need right now in Kentucky with the tornadoes killing 74, as of 12/14. And, there's going to be a lot of people displaced that this organization can help. And I would be shocked if they weren't already behind the scenes working logistically to get beds to people that are affected by those events in Kentucky.
Right. I know there's a lot of people that are wondering, how can they jump in? What can they do? Well, here's one thing. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. So once again, the website is shpbeds.org, or reach out to Matt Boyd over at Parker Fasteners or Jake Davis over at BTM Manufacturing. They're easy to find, and they'll personally attest to their experience. So, you guys should reach out to Field Fastener. Jim Derry was on here recently talking about they're always looking for charitable events to get involved with. And there are many other companies. Let's face it, it's a great, big-hearted industry. So there's lots of companies like that. But good work, guys.
Hey, Eric, just real quickly, I'd be remiss. We kind of threw in an extra goal to just raise in addition to our investment in the beds. And it was supported mightily by this industry, and I am so thankful for that. Matt even himself, donated to our effort. We raised just over $3,000 just from a GoFundMe standpoint, donation aspect of it, in addition to, like I said, the 50 bed commitment. So a lot of those names people would see come from this wonderful industry, and I'm just so appreciative of that. And I just, like I said, be remiss if I didn't mention it. So, and we're looking forward to a wonderful 2022. I think there's companies out there that could do it. I think there's fastener associations out there that should look into it and do it. As an opportunity to maybe raise money for beds and do that. So I'm just excited to see what the next year brings.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for pointing that out. And guys, we spend obviously every episode talking predominantly about the fastener industry on the podcast. And again, it's that time of year where it seemed just very fitting to spend some time and talk about something a little bit different. And but I don't want to let you get out of here without at least commenting on what you're seeing out there in business. We've had a crazy year, of course, 21. Overall, people are pretty positive in terms of the results. And all you have to do is look at the FDI and FLI to see that. Of course, the horizon, unknown. Matt, what are you thinking for 22? What do you see coming down? What kind of trends are going to persist? What kind of surprises do you think are going to hit us?
Well, looking into 22, I think the biggest challenge that we're seeing right now is a mixture of inflation and supply chain. The workforce, and this is not new to anyone that's listening to this, but just getting good qualified people to work has been a challenge. We've done fairly well at it. We continue to hire people, and we can, train them within 3 months and get them operating equipment independently. So we've done a really good job, but we've noticed that some of our supply chain partners are really struggling to do the same thing. So, there's just been some of these new whack-a-mole type situations where, one thing gets fixed and then another thing gets broken, that you have to go and assist and help, different suppliers, try to, shore up and get back to operating at the levels they once were. But inflation's the other issue. We're seeing price increases from across the board, you name it. So it's really been something that it's been tough for me on the sell side of our business, because I'm constantly looking at, the contracts we have in place, and at what point do you, say, okay, this is where we have to pause and give a price increase. So, and then there's also a flood of new business coming in, new opportunities that are coming in the door as well. So, it's a constant struggle of managing what's coming in and new business opportunities, and then also managing what you already have on contract. So, it's been a good 2021. Been very, very happy with our results, but it's definitely been a challenge. And in my 20-year history in the industry, I haven't personally seen a year like this. So it's definitely been unique, and we're just kind of taking it one day at a time. But just really, it all boils down to just getting down to the basics and making sure that you have the relationships in place with your employees and with your suppliers, and just making sure that all the little things are done. And if you don't let, all the craziness of the day get to you, and you just stick to the basics, I think everything will take care of itself. So just, taking care of people, taking care of your customers, taking care of your suppliers, doing, everything you can for them, in the end still wins the day.
Right on. Jake, how about you? What are you seeing for 22?
Much of the same. I think I read last week, and a shortage of 304 stainless steel, in the United States, that the mills were more interested in making different grades of stainless. So that kind of raised a little bit of a red flag. I think, to Matt's point, and a lot of the fastener industry guys and gals that I've spoken to that have been in it for longer than I have, they say they haven't had a year like we've experienced this year. It's just first time for everything, and I think our industry for the most part has handled it very professionally. I'm sure there's stories within there that we could all kind of point out and use an example that would say, no, maybe we didn't, but it's just, we've tried to over communicate. We're struggling with all the same problems as everyone else from a staffing standpoint, from a, I would say mental burnout, because you're dealing with the same things day in and day out. And we've just tried to over communicate, one, to our staff, and two, to our customers, and three, to our suppliers. And Matt touched on it. It comes down to the relationships that we have with all three that allows this to work, and it gives you the desire to find a solution in a very kind of troubling and dark time. I'm optimistic it's going to continue. We've been busy on both fronts of distribution and manufacturing for the past year, and we've been very, very blessed, and I think it'll continue. At some point, I think it has to self-correct organically or not. Inflation, I think last week, the highest level in 40 years. But let's don't act like it's out there, but it is. So it's just, to Matt's point, you take it day by day, week by week. It's kind of cliche to say it, but I think there's no slowing down. Order entry has been strong on even in December. So, I mean, I kind of mentioned that to you yesterday when we were just kind of talking. It's a wonderful time to be in the industry. It's a stressful time, but like I said, I've been very happy and impressed with how all of us are, talking to each other and dealing with all of the ins and outs of what we're going through.
Okay, a couple of very reasonable assessments of what we've got coming. Probably more of the same. Nobody knows for sure, but we're going to keep humping away. So we'll take it. And guys, I want to salute you again for your great work with the charity efforts, and hopefully we've inspired a few people to join you on that.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I think, like I said, I think there will always be a need. The industry does great things throughout this country where we're all located to give back to our communities. I would love, like I said, to just see more companies and the associations just take a deeper look at it to see if it's something that they're interested in, and to reach out to Matt or myself if you've got any questions, or to speak. To speak of actual build and delivery is just a wonderful thing.
You got any?
I'll say real fast, Eric, that no one will be disappointed with their efforts, whether it be just joining a local build or participating in their own build at their business. It's such a great feeling to know that you're helping out the local community in need, and so you won't be disappointed if you get involved and act on your feeling towards helping out. And Jake is right. Our industry has helped so many different people in so many different parts of the country, and this is just another effort where you can actually physically go out, roll up your sleeves, spend 4 hours, and make a humongous difference in your community.
Matt Boyd, Parker Fasteners, and Jake Davis, BTM Manufacturing and ISCO. Gentlemen, thank you for letting us know all this, and thanks for your great support of the podcast over the years. I know you're both hugely involved in so many of the associations, SFA, PAC West, NFDA, MWFA, all kinds of events coming down. We're going to have to just leave those for now. We'll catch them next time. But thanks also for your work with those, because they do a lot to advance the industry. And we'll just let you roll out of here. I think, Jake, you're going to have to leave us, though, with at least a hint about what you discussed with Santa at the MWFA.
Well, he was kind enough to let myself sit on his lap, even after looking at the size. Just kind of talked about price reductions and material availability. It was fun. It was just a great time. And you know what? I don't really need anything or want anything. I just like, it's kind of, again, cliche, but to have my kids home from school and work, and to be able to spend some time with family over the next few Christmas days and the holiday season means the world to me.
What do you think of that, Matt?
Amen to that. Just healthy and happy holiday season. I'm going to be pretty bland, but just having as many people that I know, and we just wish them the best this holiday season. It's been a trying couple of years. I know there's been a lot of challenges for a lot of different people throughout the country, and within my family as well. And I just want to wish everyone a safe and prosperous holiday season coming up, because it looks like 2022 is going to be just as fast and furious as it was this year.
Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you. Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas to the whole Fully Threaded Radio audience. We'll be back in just a minute to wrap up the 2021 season. Finally, it's Fully Threaded Radio.
Our goal at Star Stainless is to be your #1 stainless supplier. As an industry, we've been through a lot together over the years, and you've always been able to depend on us as your trusted partner. It's been that way for over 70 years. I'm Tim Roberto, the president of Star. Today, we're faced with supply chain pressures like never before, but you can continue counting on Star to have the quality stainless parts you need with the fastest possible delivery times. None of us can be sure how conditions will change or when certain items will become hard to get, but at Star Stainless, we have the resource and stocking capabilities to bring what you need when you need it. Thanks for working with us all these years. Together, we will make it through.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. www.inxsql.com.
Cut the no quotes out of the equation. Eurolink is your go-to resource for uncommon and hard-to-find metric fasteners that others can't even quote. Contact the sales team at EurolinkFSS.com and get your hard-to-find metric fasteners delivered.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Hi, this is Christian Reich with Global Fasteners. We are your leading rivet source, offering blind rivets, threaded inserts, and setting tools. See our extensive catalog online. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, Bri, covered a lot of ground in the podcast today. Last segment was something to think about, and you had to sit it out, but hopefully you made some progress on the fit bolt conundrum.
Yes, well, it's sort of weird. In fact, I tried to call my mates over at Metric and Multi-Standard, but John and Rich were sort of in meetings and things. I had a long talk to Bonnie Carter over at Metric Screw and Tool, Massachusetts, and Bonnie is one of these people who I've been talking to for years, but she is like an encyclopedia of metric standards, and sort of stumped her a bit too.
I saw a message flash by just a bit ago from Joe Morris after our conversation.
That's true.
Did that have any nuggets in there?
It did. It did, but didn't really. I was looking a little bit deeper into it. I had worked out already what it was. The question is, why was it called that? So my mate John over at Metric and Multi-Standard, he said, well, it's a shoulder bolt. Okay, that's all very well, and pictures all show that. The problem is, why is it called a fit bolt?
Plus, why doesn't the DIN number fit? I mean, I always thought that was a pretty definitive explanation of what any given part is.
Well, that may be true, but the DIN number and the description of the DIN number is a fit bolt. Well, you have shoulder bolts with DIN numbers too. They don't say fit bolts; they say shoulder bolts.
All right, so cut to the chase. Is there an answer, or are we still?
It is it's a type of shoulder bolt, but it seems to be a shoulder bolt. It doesn't exist in the imperial world. It's in the metric world, and it's like a shoulder bolt that's an interference fit on its larger diameter. It's for some sort of machinery, I guess.
Okay, and we know that Eurolink doesn't sell at least very many of them, if at all.
No one knows anything about them, even Bonnie.
But we do have a couple at FCH Sourcing Network, right?
There are some. Oh, yes.
All right.
You're right. Metric and Multi-Standard has the bulk of them, but there's some others, British Metric's got some.
FCH, your source for fit bolts, everyone.
So I still have not solved the real problem of what English word caused this thing to be called a fit bolt.
And we're going to have to leave that one there, Bri, for this episode. But thanks for the update, I guess.
Just say, cross out the word fit, put shoulder.
There you go. I can live with that one. I'd like to thank our guests on the podcast today, in addition to those who helped us try to solve this riddle.
Yeah.
They were Joe Morris of Desert Distribution and the Fastener Training Institute, Craig Penland with Eurolink,
Bonnie Carter, Metric Screw and Tool, and John over at Metric and Multi-Standard.
They can have some credit, too, as off-mic guests, Bry.
Yeah.
But Jake Davis of BTM Manufacturing and Matt Boyd of Parker Fasteners, we just heard from them. Keep us posted, gentlemen, on your progress with recruiting some more fastener companies into the cause. Mike McNulty and Baird analyst Dave Manthey. Thanks, gentlemen, for the great FDI analysis today. And Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute. That really was a full episode, Bry.
And a good way to finish the year, too.
It isn't quite done yet because stay tuned in a second, folks, for this special Redux presentation that we mentioned earlier. I'll have more on that in a moment as soon as I say that the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, tested, tried, true, Brighton Best. Goebel Fasteners, quality the first time, Goebel. And Star Stainless Screw, right off the shelf, Star. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, Solution Industries, Stelfast, 3Q Inc., Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry North America. Once again, the email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. Get with us anytime. 2022's coming up. If you've got suggestions for segments, or if you'd like to jump on for a segment at some point, let us know. And we're going to leave the whole fit bolt thing, Bry, exactly where it lies for the moment.
All right.
Squarely on your shoulders. We're going to wrap this one up with a goodie from several years ago. We don't really hear from our old buddy J.R. Prahl with JHP Fasteners up in Michigan too much anymore these days, but fortunately he left us with this real gem, and it's that time of year. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, that's a great one, actually.
We're going to roll out of here for 2021, everyone. And we'd like to thank you so much for making it a great year for us personally. And we hope you've gotten a few things out of the podcast over the many episodes. We look forward to another year. And as far as I can see, it's shaping up to be a pretty good one from the standpoint of the podcast. What do you got, Bry?
Well, I was going to say, it's time for everyone to be generous and mainly with your family. But if you sort of think that a lot of people are not in a good condition at the moment, down southern Illinois and Kentucky, and think about seeing if you can provide something for these people. Don't get caught in a scam. Go on your local Better Business Bureau to find out which charities actually get the one that you can use without getting caught in a scam. The moment where this happens, of course, all the scammers come out of the woodwork, but you can still do it without getting caught. Okay, be careful, and maybe you can bring a smile to someone who doesn't have much to smile about at the moment.
If you're affiliated with a local church, a lot of them are gearing up to do things to help the situation. So that's a good way to go.
Yep.
Great ideas, Bry. Well, that's going to wrap it up. We're going to play The Gift by J.R. Prahl to roll out of this one. Thanks again for being here, everyone. And for Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, have a beautiful holiday, and we'll talk to you next time.
Right. Have a great Christmas. Lots of fun. Okay.
Where the heck is that place? I know it's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Hello, is anybody here? Hello?
Well, hello there, young man. Is there anything that I can help you with today?
Yeah, I really hope you can. You see, I've been struggling to find my boss the perfect Christmas gift. He really is a guy who has everything. The bizarre part of my visit today is really how I found out about your shop. I had a layover last night at O'Hare, and I went down to the Rock Bottom for a few drinks. I sat down next to this guy and we started to chat. He told me about his years in the fastener business and how he'd seen the good times and the bad. His presence felt almost like a mysterious guru kind of guy. Everything he told me about life just struck a chord. It was like he knew me, inside and out. I told him that I was looking for a gift for my boss, and he scratched his head for a moment, finished his old rusty bolt, and told me to come here. At that, he wished me good luck in my search and started to leave. I said, "Hey, mister, thanks for the conversation and the good advice. What's your name anyway?" He said, "People just call me the traveling salesman." He tipped his hat, stepped out into the whirling snow, and disappeared. So here I am. Pretty strange, huh?
The truth of the matter is, it actually doesn't sound odd at all, and I'm sure at some point you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But let's forget about that for now. Why don't you come over here and see what we have? A 1947 RCA. It's in immaculate shape. It's really quite a wonder of technology for its day. I don't mean to cut you off, but my boss has a lot of antique radios, and I've seen a lot that look just like this one. Is there anything here that's really unique? Well, I actually have a brand new Bose Wave radio system over here that you put your iPod right in the
Again,
top.
sir, I really don't want to waste your time, you know? He has one of these. He has everything. If you don't have something truly unique, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to move on.
Truly unique, you say? Well, I do have one thing. Follow me. Vladimir, could you watch the shop for me while I take this gentleman upstairs?
Vladimir will watch shop with eyes like eagle and rule employees with iron fist until you return.
Thank you, Vladimir. I appreciate your help. Do be careful on the stairs. This may sound a little odd, but where exactly are you taking me? You said you wanted something unique, right? Well, here it is.
What, that rusty old box? Is that what you're going to show me? A rusty old box?
Well, I guess you're not really interested then in opening up the lid.
Oh, no. I came this far. I mean, it can't hurt to look, right?
What is it? It's the most beautiful thing my eyes have ever seen. This is what you seek. This is what you have been after. This is where your heart has been drawn to. It speaks of the future. It speaks of the past with such loving tones that soothe the savage beast. This is Fully Threaded Radio.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio. Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.